Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. This is a day in the office on January 17th, 2026 at approximately 3:45 p.m. Now, as we all know, well, if you come here at all, you know, I simply am puttering around in the office, but this said, if you've got any questions, absolutely pop them into the chat room. And, do put them in all caps, or I'm going to have a problem finding them. Things are coming along nicely in a lot of ways. What is this? Now, this is literally me just getting my office running properly, and subsequently the business running. Now, what have we got here? Do I actually get that option? I don't think so. That doesn't enable me to do anything. I don't know why, though. And that's okay, because I'm just not going to worry about it. Probably got more to do with this. Oh, this is the studio. That's why. Okay, so where are we? Take a look at this, and we take a look at the office. Oh, I left that behind. Or did I hang it up? Nope, left it behind. So, that can sit there. The shelf is done. This has to be worked on. These are what? That's you, Dina. Okay. Oh, wouldn't you know? Well, that's okay. I have a list here, a sheet of paper here to work with. Okay, I forgot to check something. That's live stream. Let's take a look at what YouTube says. This is, check that. Nope, I don't want to do that. I want to go in there. I'm actually just calling up the stream so I can see what's going on. That's not what I need. Oh, of course, darn up. I'm looking at this going, okay, I gotta find the stream itself, but I don't do it through the internet. I do it through my bookmarks. There we go. And that pops us where we have to be. No idea who that is. And this, here we are. Let's pop that in so we can see what's going on. And leave that off back. Okay. Here we are. There we go. Now we're in the bin. Oh, there we are. Did that just come in? I think so. Susan, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And you are actually in with the gold. Now, what have we got? And yeah, I'm looking forward to Caribou Con as well. I actually was talking to Dave the other day, just probably a couple of weeks back now, for all I know. But we are going to be looking at, I got to go back through it, I believe we are looking at the abduction, at what abductees go through. The reality of it is there are so many possibilities of what I could be working on. This is why I turned around and asked Dave, because I said, Dave, you know your followers, your viewers. So what would you like me to look at? And I will start putting that together right away. My wife and I have already dedicated that trip to our list of things to do this year. So that works out well. Now, where am I here? The neat part about it, I think there is now, I don't know if there's any other ones taking place in Canada, Yeah, I noticed that, Susan. I do actually do my best to notice who comes in when. You know, Unfortunately, my ability to track time can be a royal pain in the neck in case you haven't noticed. But I have now, and that's what I require. I was going through things in my office, and it turns out I've actually been running things properly because the last year, 2025, I actually did the profit loss statement for it and I actually managed to make a profit last year, which now that I've actually done it, I can safely say throughout the entire time I've had it, you know, um, throughout the entire time I've had the business, I've never actually done a profit loss statement. Of course, I didn't treat the business properly. Now, yeah, you'll be able to meet her because she's coming up with me. Going to see if I can get her to pop a couple of extra things going on. But yeah, she has been a phenomenal boost. We actually took her down because Kira, my wife, is actually a professional flutist, and we took her down for an audition today. Essentially, an interview to see if we can get her playing in a local restaurant. And like I told her, if things go really well, it'll turn out the way it did for me on Spaced Out Radio, where I went in for one show for one show, and here I am a decade later, still doing the shows. Now I have to take a look at where am I here. Oh, I got nothing open there. That's good. That's not good, but it is. So we take a look at that. Let's open Word and see what we've got. I even was talking to my son, my eldest son, this morning, and we started planning what happens when he's done school. So that ought to be entertaining. Let's see. Open. No. You do that to me. Okay. Active documents. There we go. Now, we take a look at. There we are. That's open book 4. That's book 4 of the Ildebakian Chronicles. I went down to my printer today, and I went down the other day, and I got the feedback from her now, from my printer now. And what do I got here for title? Oh, I'm going to have to see what I was doing there. I'm just looking at I gotta find the list. What did I do wrong? Definitely have to look into that. But let's get the other one open. This is literally, in this case, a question of opening up what I've got to do in order to get the books dealt with. So we go ahead, there, open, and row 2nd edition. There we are. Whoop. Volume 2. There we are. So we will have to deal with that, but let's see where we're standing here. Okay, now we have get a list together. Okay. after I get done the stream today, also for January, we got to cut it and we got to finish off. It's neat, Oh, that says nothing. Okay. It's really kind of neat because the amount of things I've got on the go, it's amazing I keep anything organized. Then we go and these are the ones that we've got. These are all, what I'm about to list off here, are literally the series Meet the, referring to whatever race. The ones I've already got on the go. Meet the Reticulans, Meet the Alphids, Meet the Cerzothians, then we just pulled together, which was that, the Rosic, I believe? No, Meet the Udina. This gives you an idea of how much time I actually spend. I'm literally moving things back into the office where I should be. Like I told my wife. I've let the ball drop badly. When my older brother passed away, I let everything go into an absolute tailspin. Don't know if I've got that. I gotta go back through that and see. Where are we here? That one. Can we go open? Where is Jumping Jimmy? Where's the other one I did? Oh, go way back up here. We have IV evolution. Now I'll bring it up. Now we got all those open, and here we are. Now, again, guys, if you have an idea for a topic, let's take a look at that one I just opened up. If you have an idea for a topic, I've got to come up with where are we here? That's today. That all goes fine. Next Saturday, I require a topic on aliens that involves the aliens for Saturday the 24th. I have not filled that location yet, nor for Monday the 26th, which will be on finance. I was trying to say it the other day, when I came in here, and I mentioned, what do we got here? Exile, how we doing? Oh, here we go. Exile goes, peaceful revolution. Olympics is the logical topic topper. And that is now, that's an interesting one I wanted to look at. But considering I didn't have a better option, we will take a look at that. I will tell you now, I'm not sure where you're coming from with that, but I do appreciate the input, especially since I don't have one. Now, that being said, where are we here? Peaceful revolutions is the easy part. What I don't understand, Exile, is where the connection is with Olympics. Or do we got Olympics coming up soon? But, now, but peaceful revolution is absolutely a good move because that has happened. As a matter of fact, it happened rather well with the Sarkon. And it wasn't so much a revolution as a complete separation of their other topics. There we are. I appreciate them in the pointer there, Exile. I'm just reading what Exile has suggested. Expect to do research on peaceful revolution. Olympics. It's based on the peaceful and constitutional Carnation Revolution of Portugal, 1974, constitutional, historical, legal precedents. I will tell you this: I'm going to have to take a very different tack on that, because what I don't desire this whole thing to get into is into a political repartee. Because the reality of it is, I'm not very versed in politics at all. I'm a firm believer that, quite frankly, communication and treating people decently will solve a whole lot of problems. Unfortunately, humans haven't reached that point yet. Not from what I'm seeing. Okay, where are we here? We have Susan in with the gold. Now, Exile is coming in with the silver. Then we have Joe. How you doing? You are in with the bronze. And then Angels, you are in now with honorable mention. Now, Susan goes, know of an alien species that lives around the constellation Leo, if there even is one. Now I can tell you this. I will have to, because I'm not an astronomer and I really don't know my astronomical planets. What I do know is there is a complete civilization on the right in the Sirius cluster. What I don't know is how close that is to the cluster, into the Leo cluster. But I will certainly take a look into that. And obviously I gotta do that pretty quick. Now, Angels, I know you've been going through a whole pile of things. I hope you're feeling better. That's sadly saying things can get complicated. But I will tell you, the one thing there, Exile, regarding peaceful revolution is absolutely something we've got to look at, because if we don't turn things around, I can see where this is going to go, and eventually it's got to. But what we don't need is every country on the planet going to war. We've got to find a way to make a balance point. And many civilizations across the cosmos have done so. Now, so with that in mind, what we got? I'm going to have to look into that. So let's make a note. Find out where that is. Ouch. That cannot be fun, Angels. Mind you, I'm personally of the opinion that having your head covered in castor oil is so much better than what I went through as a kid, where I had to drink the stuff. Now just remember, if you're covered in what amounts to grease, don't put your head near a fire. This is not going to end well. But I'm looking at what's going on with this world and going, okay, we've got to take a look at things and go, what is going on here? Okay, with the biggest thing I noticed the other day, I was talking to my son actually, and this idea of taking over a country because you don't desire to have a certain person as a neighbor is a recipe for disaster and should be a warning to everybody. One of the biggest things I'm looking at here, karmic law is simple. Okay, you do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. And as long as you do that, you can avoid a whole lot of complications. By the way, just a real quick update. We are now sitting at 710 subscribers. I'm going to back up a little here. Yesterday, I was going to be discussing what the specific consensus was of a so-called professional marketer. Basically, what he said was, "I've got good topic, but I've got this, but because you guys, as in the listening audience, do not have the attention span to listen in for an hour or so." Okay, and I agree in one sense. I really agree in one sense. Problem is, considering I'm focusing on reclaiming power over your own life, my personal opinion is simple. If you don't have the time to take an hour and get a little scattered, because I don't know about you, but my life does not run in a static pattern. It really doesn't, unless you call chaos static. Okay, but if you're not willing to take the time to listen, and we're looking at changing your life by your hand, then a short isn't going to hold your attention. I mean, in all fairness, you won't get much information out of it. So I just looked at it and went, I'm not going that route. I am keeping a day in the office open. Yes, I get a little scattered, get pulled all over the place. And I'm keeping positive perception. When I get done the stream tonight, the next couple hours will be spent in here getting positive perspectives ready to go. So January will be out late, but then I go right into February. Yeah, it'll be in late as in late in the month, not late as in coming out in February. When I look at that, yeah, we are looking at 710. And well, that's entertaining. When we go back over here, I see what happened. We hit refresh on that one. That'll tell me where I'm actually sitting. Because see, I've got to keep an eye open on both the live stream and the feed that I work with. Now, when I looked at this, and the guy was telling me, you got to start putting shorts out on TikTok, you'll get more views. I probably will. But will I attain the goal that I've got of helping individuals really start moving forward? Here we are. Jobs right now are a royal pain, it would seem. One of the things that I would strongly suggest, Joe, where it comes to looking for a job, take the time to write literally, if you know what type of job you're looking for, be more specific. But today, while you're sitting there, take a sheet of paper and literally write out one little qualifier. All you got to decide is, are you looking for full-time work or are you looking for part-time work? In either event, literally write, I am employed, either part-time or full-time. Your call on that. Okay? But write it down in present tense. This will shift the energy for you, making it easier to pull a job together. Okay? And I know that sounds simple, but the reality of it is, I'm looking at the society we've got, and absolutely, I admit, people's attention span has collapsed rather drastically. It's absolutely collapsed. And we have to do something about that. But that is done on an individual base. Do I got the Udina there? Yes. There's the Udina. We have... Oh, Mobius. These are just ones on Meet Thee. So why is that not working? I love it when a pen doesn't work properly, especially when I'm sitting in my office. Okay, well, that's garbage. There we are. That's some Mobians, and who else we got? Particulars I've got. Oh yeah. Boy, do I got a lot of drawing books on the go. See, the reality is that when I take a look at the species from Races of the World, I look at it and go, okay, how do we work with this? Like how many of these actually have functional species? So I'm going through them as quick, as precise, concisely as I can. Okay, what do we got here? Angels. Oh, yeah, I know which one you're talking. You got it outside. That's beyond Neptune. Yeah, there is one. It's a little further out than that, but it is the portal you're referring to, and that's not entirely a bad thought there. And I appreciate that, Angels. Matter of fact, that might be one of the better options at this point. Regarding aliens, for a Saturday, is taking a look at jump points. Funny thing is, jump points are actually, they tie directly to, or more to the point, are referenced by crop circles. Okay. And no, I'm not going to get into the crop circle side of it aside from the reference point. But the jump points to solve, where we can go from there, is kind of an intriguing area. So, as a matter of fact, let's see. I gotta take a look. I've got to do a little research into the one you brought up there, Exile, because I don't desire to open it with no baseline. I'm certainly not getting into heavy duty politics. Now that's funny, Exile. Exile goes, want to brag about being retired, and maybe it isn't all that much to brag about at the moment. I have empathy for people trying to make it in this or in this zoo. Yeah, I mean, it does have the advantage, and that's not a bad idea. That one I can work with, but let me see. Does that one? Take a look at this and see where Sunday is. Oh, now in with regards to Sundays, and that one Exile, I will absolutely take that one into because Sunday we deal with spirituality and that side of things. So what do we got? So I do believe that one Exile we will bring into. I will put that. I'm going to schedule that in right now. The reality is I'm booking down the road. I got to get the half of this part. Whoops. Where? There we are. There. That is scheduled for, and granted, this is a month down the road. I'm still going to be retired at that point. But Sunday is on the spirituality side. Sunday, the 11th of February, Well, which I just did. That's wrong. I gotta go. We are down past that. Where is Sunday? 8th is there. Oh, okay. So let's do this. Take that. We go copy, paste. What do we got? Okay. Now, that one, let's take a peek. Nope. I want the calendar. There. We'll be looking at Friday. No, it's Sunday. That is Sunday the 8th is already covered. So that will make it Sunday the 15th. Tuesday the 10th. Friday the 13th. 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. So, that being said, on the 15th of February, we are going to talk about retirement because it is something that affects everybody on this planet sooner or later. Some of you get to retire early, some don't. See, equals exile. That way I know who brought the topic up. Something I've decided is of rather serious importance. So, that has been saved. And now, Exile, we are scheduled in on that one. The other one that you brought up here about the issue of looking into where are we here? I've got good memory. It's just really, really short. Go way back up. Oh yes, the issue of peaceful revolution. I've got that written down to look at down the road. So let's go back and make sure we modify that. Did I already write that out? I did so. Okay. So I am going to have to deal with that. Okay, go back to here. And we come down. You know, in all fairness, I agree with you there, Exile. You know, bragging about retiring, I will tell you there are some things that I have overlooked drastically. But going back here, I was talking to this guy, and he basically said that the people alive today do not have the attention span of a gnat in order to change their own life. If you are not paying attention, if you don't put the effort into it, you're going to have a problem with it. Okay, it's just that simple. So it really does boil down to I'm looking at it this way. If you desire your life to change, it's not going to happen by a wish and a prayer. It is one of these things that we have to take a look at and go, okay, this is what the governments are doing. This is what the industry moguls are doing. Here's a challenge for us. Now, I am currently with Inner Voice. I just went in, got everything mobilized again. We are on track right now to make things happen. With your help, we can make Inner Voice a going concern. Understanding that my intention is to take a lot of the surplus, take the majority of my surplus income, and turn it back over to the population. And here's why. I don't have to have $1 billion a month coming in. I really don't. Okay? I do desire to have enough to live on. So I am in the process of working out what I require. And my first goal very definitely through readings, through book sales, is absolutely on generating a high enough income that I don't have to rely on the government. Okay. Where is, let's see if I've got the note there, the note work here. Oh, I just dug that out for that reason. Okay. This here, there it is. Of course, I left it up front. I'm just ballparking, but last year I actually generated through book sales and consulting. I actually generated, you know, I absolutely generated approximately $2,800. Now it costs just over $1,000 for a year that I end up with as far as my fair share of surviving goes. So once Inner Voice is making that $2,000 on its own, that's where I start feeding back to the community, because then I've covered my bills. Okay. Yeah, I am making note of that. Like I said, I am making note of that, Exile. I know it's a very important thing. It's finally come to my attention that something is very bad. Something very bad is coming in. We've got to work overtime to make that change. Now, think back. Okay, every time there's been a massive turnover of power, every time it's taken decades to get our footing back. We start now. We can mitigate that a little. Okay. And the reality is, I'm not going to, even if I do go down that road, I'm not going to be looking at any one government and saying, this guy's a problem and that guy isn't. Okay. Understand, every one of the people, of you people out there, every one of you, myself included, we are all politicians. Oh, what do we got? Oh, Cowie, long time no see. How you doing? We are all politicians. We have the ability to turn things around. Okay, and it really boils down to this: if we don't take control of it and start changing our own lives, we're going to have a massive problem. Okay, but I'm not going to go into this politician or that politician is a problem. Callie, it's been a long time. This is literally an update for you personally. In August, I got married. Okay, so I've now got my second wife here living with me. She just got her passport updated. We're now looking at making things permanent here, as in get her immigrated to Canada. But then it got complicated because in August I got married. In September I died. October I spent basically recovering. Then November we were going great. December hit. I got hit with Christmas. That went off without a hitch. And now we're moving forward. So now we're moving forward and we're going to make things happen. But the biggest thing that I've got on the go right now, aside from my marriage, obviously, is we are building an active recovery center. Okay, this connection here, positive percent, a day in the office, between a day in the office, positive perceptions, positive perspectives, and my day-to-day life, we are building this empire. And with your guys' help, we will be able to reach out and assist other people. Now understand, I'm a firm believer in charity. However, I'm not interested. I am. The reality is so many companies go, oh, I'm going to get tax breaks and what have you by donating to charity. There are only 3 types of charities I will be donating to. Okay. I'm not going to become a registered charity by any functional means. Okay, I don't think. I'll look into it and see what happens. I may open a functional charity, but I'm not interested in the hassles. I'm really not. So what I'm doing with a chunk of my net profit, like I said, bottom line, I've got to generate a minimum of $2,000 a month through Inner Voice. Once I hit that point, I will be able to take a percentage of my actual net profit. Okay, and I will turn it over to charity. But here's what the charities will be. This has been discussed. This was thought out long before me. Well, not long before me. Long before my marriage or anything else. The the charities I will donate to are food to food banks. Okay, I will donate food to pet shelters. And I will be focusing on helping the working poor. Okay. Now, the working poor are probably a lot of you guys. You go out for a meal once in a while, and you have to scrimp and save and figure out how to afford it. Okay. Also, so I'll be doing that. You go into a restaurant. I've done in the past when I had excess money. Okay. You go into a restaurant. I used to walk into a restaurant. I'd look at a place and go at a table and go, I'm paying for that table. And that was just the way it went. Oh yeah, no doubt. Yeah, the neat thing there, you're talking about getting pre-used stuff like this hooligan motorcycle. Okay, getting a used one is financially a much wiser move. The only reason when I bought a car, I bought it brand new, is because I've got the mechanical capacity, and I've done my best to improve that. I've got the mechanical capacity of a broken thermometer. Okay, but if you can repair things like that, get you, get the used stuff. I'm a firm believer. Like a lot of the stuff I've got right now, I've got a bunch of stuff, Christmas decorations and what have you. I'm going to be giving away for Christmas. The reality is, by working together, we can turn this into a better world for virtually everybody, including the people that are actually at present apparently striving to work against it. But honestly, when you think about it, like I look at you guys, the amount of encouragement I got from you guys to make sure I stayed with positive perceptions running and to bring a day in the office back. It was that encouragement from you guys, not from some industry mogul, okay, that got me seriously looking at it going, okay, what do I do with this? So, yes, I absolutely have taken a look at things and gone, I'm not upgrading my wardrobe. I will get clean clothes. I will get new clothes. I'm not worried about putting on some sort of a suit and saying, hey, look, I look so much more more successful. Not interested. No, Exile, to be honest with you, I don't actually watch the news. I haven't had news. I haven't had actual news, as in from a TV, in probably 15 years. Okay, I just don't see the point. Okay, most of what's going on there. And that is something, now get this. I am literally building an empire. Now I can barely keep a roof over my head right now. But understand something. With the layout I've got and with the P&L, the profit loss calculation I just did yesterday, I know absolutely I am sitting on a definitive gold mine. I simply have to stay focused on it. And one of the things that happens with me coming in here is I get to bounce things around, get ideas from other people, and see what I can put to use. Whoa, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And where are we? We are at 4:30 right now. That's good. Yeah, things are absolutely turning for the better. I know my wife is a little caught off guard by the fact I told her when I first met her we would get her back playing the flute professionally. Well, she just went to an audition today to see if she could land a gig with the network I'm building here. Where'd I put it? This funny little thing. I gotta go through it and put it back on track. This here. Because I've got like communication lines, I'm using word of mouth. Okay, hopefully that shows up. When you take a look at word of mouth, it is still absolutely bar none the best method of advertising available. Don't require that and don't require that. So, what I am doing at this point is turning around and going, okay, we have to start doing this. So, what I'm going to do is keep you guys posted on what I'm actually doing. Because if I'm going to lead by example, I got to tell you, this is the way it's working. That's why I have this list method I work with. Okay. It's also why things are going to turn for me. There is no doubt there at all in my eyes. I'm going to manage to put this all together without a big problem. It's just a question at this point of how many people join ranks, because it's going to require all of us putting the effort in. I've already told the advisor. I tell people, yes, I'm a spiritual guide. I am a spiritual advisor. Take your pick. The only way I can do that is if I go, this is what I'm going to do. Here's what's happened. Okay. And now look where we're standing. When I first started streaming, I figured if I get 3 people, I'm doing good. Okay, I really am. But the fact of the matter is that we are now over 700. And the funny part there is this advertising specialist I was talking to, a social media specialist. He goes, "Well, you gotta get your numbers up. You're not even monetized yet." Well, let me ask you this: I've been working with this stream, with the Day in the Office, with Positive Perceptions, okay, for a year. Now, granted, YouTube is not paying me. I am not monetized in that regard. But I made over $2,500 last year. Pocket change. Okay. Pocket change is not what I require. Okay. The reality of it, though, is I'm already landing on my feet. Oh, there we go. Oh, there you go. Exile just goes, I'm off for the television for a good 10 years. Haven't had a desktop either. I work with right now, I'm working off a laptop. But we've already got plans. My eldest son and I, he still lives at home. He'll be here for another year, but we've already started laying out the office that'll be there. And when he moves out, his room gets turned into an office. That office, I kid you not, the way I'm looking at it right now, we will have 5, 10, 15, 20, about 25 feet of desktop to work with. Okay. I'm betting because I'll also have shelves to work with. I'm looking at probably 4 to 6 monitors as well. So I can because the big thing I find a problem with technology, aside from it doesn't work well for me, is I don't have enough screen space for the amount of stuff I work on. Woo. The short answer is it can be. Okay, what Woo is asking is, do you think that keeping up with times and what's going on can be a benefit to the empire you want to create? Um, Number one, it can be, but getting caught up in what they're doing that's stupid. And there's a lot that's being done that's stupid on many fronts. This is why I won't target one government, because they're all doing similar things. Okay, I'm not going to tell you which politician is a good one, which one's a bad one. A good one is easy. If they say this is what I'm going to do, and it doesn't break karmic law, and is benefit to the majority of people, not the majority of people that are paying you to say so. Okay, I had a guy approach me once, a decade or two back. He goes, "If I give you $1,000, will you tell so and so such and such?" I forget what he wanted me to say, but it was a blatant lie. And I looked at him and I says, "I'll take the $1,000." Unfortunately, he thought that through. And he looks at me and goes, "Well, what about the message?" I said, "Look, I'm not going to lie to anybody I'm not going to lie to anybody for anybody. Not going to happen." This is why I say, if you're going to ask me a question, make sure you really desire the answer, because I will not guarantee you want it. What I'll do is I'll tell you you may not like the answer. Woo, you are correct there. And that's where it can be beneficial. But this guy asked me about the money. I looked at him and I said, "I'll take it." He goes, "Well, if you're not going to pass on the message, why would I give you $1,000? I never thought about it. I just looked at him and I said, "Because you're nice." What I intend on doing, and I will keep you posted on how well things are working. Like I said, I've got to be generating a minimum of $2,000 a month through my company before I can start turning money over to people. Okay, on a consistent base. This is just the reality of it. Like I've told you, you've got to be true to you first. If you don't take care of you, you're in serious trouble. Okay, one of the things that you will find, and this is why I say I'm going to let people know what I'm doing. I just work through things. I wonder if I've got it here. Yeah, for the first time. Now this will give me an idea. One of the things that I did find, there's an old saying that I came across a long time ago that says, "Man is not judged by the height to which he climbs, so much as by the depth from which he has climbed." Now, because of turning things around and making absolutely certain I was on track, that's the neat part. I really can't tell you entirely. I'm not, like Wu is asking what Canada's taxes on self-employed companies are up here are. Now, because I'm up in Canada. Now, I can give you an answer to that when I get my taxes done at the end of this year, or not the end of this year. I think I get the information I require at the end of February. But this is a topic that I should deal with, because I don't rightly know offhand. So I've written that in as a topic for after I get my taxes done. Then I will bring you up to speed. Unfortunately, you're going to have to wait for that because I don't know what they are yet. But that is an excellent company tax for economics. See, the way I figure it, The biggest mistake my parents made when I was growing up was they didn't include us children in the daily goings on of finances and where the real hiccups were. Had they done that, maybe things would have turned out better. So what I'm looking at is going, okay, I'm not doing anything illegal, right? So what I do, okay, will be, according to Canadian law, will be on the up and up. Oh, I will tell you right now, like, I'm just going to read this directly what Wu wrote. I asked because I'm also self-employed with a company. They can only tax what you claim you make. For instance, you make $100. Do you claim the whole 100 or say 60 to avoid other expenses? Nope. I claim every dollar I make, every penny I make. The reality is, if I'm going to tell you to be honest, I cannot, I cannot. I don't like that. If I tell you, be honest, I cannot in good conscience lie. And teach their own. I will recommend absolutely be dead honest. If you make $100, you're self-employed. If you make $100, claim $100. Now this is my personal opinion, and anybody that wants to complain about that, you're welcome to it. I personally feel that if you're going to run a business, run it honestly, right from the get-go. The government teaches us to lie. Okay, the laws that are in place make it almost impossible to be straightforward. The reality is there are all sorts of ways of mitigating expenses. And this is something that we will be going through over the next several months regarding finances. This is something we're looking at where it comes to the Monday night shows on positive perspectives or positive perceptions. The reality of it is this: if you plan your business properly, and I'd be quite happy to sit down with you, Wu, and take a look at what you're doing, see where you're making and where you're having problems, because it may be just a simple question of mitigating your own expenses. FYI, guys, and I found this myself, if you're not content with what you're doing, you're going to spend more money than what you should be, simply trying to convince yourself that you're happy. I came to the conclusion that doesn't work well. The neat part there, one of the biggest things where it comes to offsetting expenses, like I've got my office now where all the clutter is off my desk. I've got stuff I'm working on that's on a regular basis, but it's organized. Okay. And if you turn around, like I got the clutter out of my area, my brain works like a charm right now, which is better than my temper because it works like an absolute nightmare. But it's a question of getting things organized and deciding, okay, what have I got to do? Like right now, I take a look at my office. I've got 15 feet of office desk. Okay. That I can work with. And for me, that's good. When I'm in a year, I will have about 25 feet, maybe a little more, depending. But I'm going to have a massive monitor bank because I am trying to stay in the 21st century. More to the point, I'm trying to get into it. I'm still a dinosaur. And one thing I did find is that the one thing that will make a company grow, okay, is literally when you turn around, and go, I'm doing it this way because it's right, not because it'll make me money. Okay, so we are looking at having things grow. Where am I? Go back to there. It's an absolute nightmare on occasion. Okay, but what it is to build this empire I'm looking at. First, I've got to get the communication lines in. I mentioned it a year ago about the fact I desire to go global. And I forget who it was. I think it may have been Joe Stewart that mentioned it. And he goes, Keith, you're already global. I'm in Australia. I'm like, bonus. So I don't know if that was Joe Stewart, to be honest with you. But I'm like, good point. And I started looking at it. I've got people, I'm reaching people all the way around the world. So we're already global. Now it's a question of making it grow. Okay, so the network is there. I'm already looking at supporting people, helping people out that are having trouble. I don't require if I had the kind of money that some of these billionaires have, the world would be a better place for one reason. I don't have a real drive to have a lot of money. Do not get me wrong, I've never turned down a free gift. And for those of you that have either bought my books or simply bought me a coffee to help support what I'm doing, I'll tell you it has been the difference between whether or not I kept food on my table or not. So there are not enough words to say thank you for your efforts. Last year, like I said, through Buy Me a Coffee, I ended up making just shy of $3,000. Now, if you take a look at that, let's see. Whoop, that's one. Cancel that. And go over here to my calculator. Let me go 2,800 divided by 12. Yeah, that did not work. 2,800 divided by 12 means I was making an extra $200 a month because of the work of the book sales and your guys' support. That $200 a month, I kid you not, is why I was eating. Okay, that is why I landed on my feet. Now I intend on improving the quality of what I'm putting out. I'm not going to claim I'm going to make it more exciting around here. Sorry, guys, I got the sense of humor of a rock. Actually, it was funny. My son looked at me and goes, Dad, you've got a fabulous sense of humor. It's just dark. And it is. But I intend on improving people's lives by simply going, here's the tools I use. This is what they've done for me. Okay, like, for instance, that neat little saying that I've got. I am worth it. I've got that sign right on the wall in front of me. I've got it on my fridge and on the outside of my front door. The front door to my apartment. Now here's the neat thing. My neighbors have noticed that sign on the door. And just reading it helps people build their own self-esteem, their own self-worth. Okay, I intend on being very public about this is what I just did. Like, for instance, when I've got the money and I can walk into a room and go, I bought that, I paid for this person's meal. Not because I knew who they were, because I don't care who they are. Okay, everybody can use a hand up on occasion. You don't have to be stepped on. You don't have to be walked on. Okay, but so many people are taught that you have to, walk over everybody. Get your benefits now. Well, I'm a firm believer this doesn't work as well as you might think. Okay, but this is why I keep turning to you guys, and we now have a couple of extra topics that I will be booking down the road. Okay, that we can deal with that are beneficial, not the least of which is how to deal with retirement, how to deal with and never mind retirement. How do you deal with it when you're all of a sudden without a job? How do you cope? Because I'll tell you, I've cut it close. I've never ended up living on the street, but that's been by a wing and a prayer half the time. Okay, but I've learned a lot by talking to people on the street and seeing what put them there. And it's this kind of information that's being overlooked. We cannot rely on the moguls. Can't rely on the business moguls to help people. They're clearly not doing it. Okay, the spiritual guides, the mega churches, and what have you, they talk a good game, but they certainly are not backing it up. About a decade ago, somebody asked on Facebook, why is it in the United States we have over 350,000 churches? All of these churches, church, temple, whatever, all of them combined, they all say the same thing: we're here to take care of the sick and the poor. And the guy goes, if this is the case, why do we have 200,000 people living on the street? If the churches are doing that, why are they living on the street? Now, you can bet your bottom dollar I don't have the money to put people under a roof right now. However, every little bit helps. And once I've made sure that I've got a roof over my head, I've already scrambled myself badly on that one. Okay, as soon as I got that stable, and that's why I said, bottom line, through Buy Me a Coffee, through book sales, through consulting, I've got to be generating $2,000 a month. Everything after that, roughly, if I remember the numbers right, roughly 80% of the surplus will be going back to the general population in one form or another. That's my commitment to me, not my commitment to you. Now, with that in mind, guys, where are we? Oh, we're down to the last few minutes here. Tomorrow, let's see, open that up. Tomorrow is the 18th, which is Tuesday. Okay, now, I will be back tomorrow to deal with, a day in the office. And I absolutely encourage you to come and join us. If you've got ideas of topics that we can work on, I'm starting to book things down the road. Because I got it. Okay. There's a lot of things that have to happen. Okay, but I've got a schedule laid out for that to occur. Tonight, on Positive Perception, starting at 8 p.m. Pacific, we are going to be looking at, where are we here? January. Here we are. Today is, what is today? This is Friday. Where are we? Friday the 17th. I'm way in the wrong part of the world. Okay, January 17th. Saturday, sorry guys. Tonight, we are going to be looking at humans according to the consortium. How does the Galactic Consortium see humans? Where do we fit in the larger scheme? That's what we're here to discuss tonight at 8 p.m. Pacific. And I do hope to see you there. Absolutely bring your questions. I will do my best to answer them. In the meantime, until we meet again, I do want to say thanks so very much for sharing your time with us tonight. Okay. Oh, the only way that I can do anything with the backlighting is if I might be able to do something with it. I'll show you what happens if I turn the lighting off. This is what happens. Because this is the only light I've got in here right now. Yeah, you see how well that works. Not well at all. But I would look into it because it's a good point. I used to have a light up on my counter here. I just got to find another one because the one I had died. But I will be back again. Okay. But until we talk and we meet again, do take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.